Hello, good and faithful people of the Church, the Mediator. It's Father Dale. Happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you. I hope you are well whenever it is that you hear this message this week. It's going out a day early this week. We are sending out happenings on Wednesday evenings since tomorrow is Thanksgiving. I hope that whether you're traveling, whether you're staying, whether you're going to family local, whether you're hosting, I hope that this is a time filled with joy, with peace, with abundance, and with gratitude. Pop quiz, what does Eucharist mean? You have to go back, dig back into your catechism class. It's a loan word, a Greek loan word for us. What does Eucharist mean? But before I go there, of course, my weekly announcements. This Sunday is the last Sunday after Pentecost, also frequently referred to as the reign of Christ or the kingship of Christ or Christ the King Sunday. I love just calling it the last Sunday after Pentecost, but the themes of the readings, of course, will be of Jesus's coming again and establishing Jesus's equitable reign, including that incredible portion of Matthew's 25th chapter, which says, "Lord, Lord, when did we see you hungry and homeless and naked and give you food and shelter and clothing?" And then Jesus will say, whatever you did to the least of these, you did to me. So come on out, 9 a.m., of course, in English, 1 p.m. in Spanish. There will be a brief training for those who serve as Eucharistic ministers, chalice bearers, or altar servers right after the 9 a.m. liturgy. So if you are one of those people, please plan to stay after for about a half an hour so we can brush up and get those who are going to serve new in the coming church year, beginning with the first Sunday of Advent in December. We will get ourselves together. So going back to my question, I have to reach over here for books that I have on my desk behind me. What does the word Eucharist mean? It's as I said, Greek loan word, kind of untransformed and maybe a little clunky in its own way, but Eucharist means thanksgiving. That's why I ask it on the eve of Thanksgiving, this question, what does Eucharist mean? And in fact, if you turn on in your prayer book to page 361, there where we begin the celebration of the Holy Communion each week with the preparing of the table, of the altar, and we set bread and wine out, and we then begin the great Thanksgiving. That's page 361. And if you flip over to page 367, the prayer book specifies that there are alternative forms of the great Thanksgiving. That Eucharistic prayer, that long prayer that we say Sunday by Sunday over bread and wine, is an act. It is our great act of thanksgiving. And I think it is pretty remarkable that our pinnacle act of worship as Christian people, as sacramental Christian people, is an act of giving thanks to God, an act of thanksgiving. And in fact, that is what we are called to do on this Thursday as American people, as well as United States Americans, is to give thanks to God for the bounty of our lives, for the bounty of the earth, for the bounty of safety and freedom and liberty and justice that we have as United States Americans as well. But I wanted to read, speaking to the topic of the great Thanksgiving, the Eucharistic act, the act of giving thanks to God for all that God does for us and is for us, and doing that at the altar over bread and wine. I wanted to read to you a paragraph from a little book called Why Worship Matters by Robert A. Rimbaud, who was Lutheran bishop in New York a few years back. Hear this reading from Why Worship Matters. Rimbaud writes, "Eucharist, thankfulness, is what our life as Christians is all about. Wherever we stand in suffering or joy or confusion or routine, our life is always to be a thanksgiving, always to be a sharing of God's abundance with all in need. The purpose of worship is not to give lip service to God, but to glorify God as Jesus glorified God. We glorify God by transforming our lives under the influence of the Spirit of God so that we may become increasingly Christ-like in our devotion to God and to the welfare of others. Jesus glorified his Father before all by being totally given over to the Father's work in the world, no matter what the cost himself. We celebrate the memorial of Jesus by offering our own lives for the life of the world. So our worship is inseparable from our continuing conversion to a deeper life with God and a more profound life of obedience and service. I reiterate that line. Wherever we stand in suffering or joy or confusion or routine, our life is always to be a thanksgiving. May you be thankful tomorrow, my good and faithful people. May you be filled with a joy of the Holy Spirit as you are gathered with your people, near or far. I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Blessings.